Well, that wasn't great, was it? Okay, on this channel, you're not going to get any knee-jerk reactions and over-the-top stuff like you're probably going to see in a lot of content creators, Manchester City content creators. You're not going to see that here because, like I said in the introductory video, if you've not watched that one, go back and watch it. But I'm an old-time City fan. Like I say, I was at Newcastle in '68. So, you know, I've seen some very, very, very dark times at Manchester City. And, I mean, currently, you know, I mean, I'm going to look on the positive side. I'm going to have a bit of a moan, but I'm going to have a look on the positive side in this episode. Because, you know, we're just coming off the back of 4 straight Premier League wins. And all of the other trophies. You know, we've won the Champions League under Pep Guardiola. So I have no complaints whatsoever. And, you know, football is cyclical. And, maybe we are in need of, like rebooting. Maybe we need to freshen the team up. I don't know. I'm not sure. But like I say, this is not going to be a knee-jerk reaction after, well, what was, let's face it, a shambles last night. I mean, Sporting Lisbon, 4. I mean, I was sat watching it and I kept repeating through my head, this game's gone 4-1. 4-1. How has that happened? Just before the game kicked off, my grandson said to me, he said, "Grandad, who's your favourite manager of all time?" And I said, well, obviously, it's got to be Guardiola. But also, I mean, you won't know what I'm talking about. But, my grandson won't know what I'm talking about. But Joe Mercer, because Joe Mercer was a lovely man. And not just a lovely man, but he won, the first trophy that I saw City win. And, the comparisons between Joe Mercer and Pep Guardiola, okay, massively different style of football, but they were both very, very humble, nice men. So I can't really call Guardiola out. I find him a very stubborn man. And if I've got anything to say about, I'm not going to call any players out here. You're not going to get any of that. If I would have any kind of, it's not a criticism, it's just an observation. So obviously, when we got beat at weekend, that had been coming. I've watched every City game this season. That had been coming because we have been very sluggish. There's been no tempo in the game. We've been doing all of this, passing the ball about between the centre halves with no forward thinking. There doesn't seem to be a plan. Now, bearing in mind, we have probably the world's best centre forward, although after last night, bearing in mind that manager is going to Manchester United, so you can bet your life who's going to be the next centre forward for Manchester United. Yeah, it's going to be Gyökeres after his goals last night. And in the first 15-20 minutes, he had 1 or 2 touches, and I thought, oh my word, what? Because I'd heard a lot of buzz about this lad, and I thought his touch is awful. He's not looking great, but because it all turned round. But back to HAALAND. Now, HAALAND for me is best when he's got his head down and he's running like a wildebeest. Nobody can get near him. His head's down, he's focused, the ball's in the back of the net. Why do we not put the ball over the top? Not all of the time, I don't want to play long ball football, but half a dozen times in a game, because the high press that Bournemouth were using against us, that was really effective, by the way, every time we played out of that. Now, we are very good at doing that. We played out of it. Why not mix it up and put that ball over the top for HAALAND? Because then that high press would be like, oh, hold on a minute, is he going to stick the ball over the top and we're going to get caught out of the back? Because, Bournemouth had like 7 or 8 players in our half on that press. So my theory is, and this is only my theory, I think, I don't know, but I'm pretty convinced that Pep Guardiola tells them not to do that. Now, that's a controversial thing to say, but I think he probably does, because Guardiola, you can see it down the years, he always wants to score the perfect goal. He always wants to tip-tap that ball And this is where we're getting undone at the moment, because there's like 11 men behind the ball, including the goalkeeper, obviously. There's 11 men behind the ball, and we're trying to thread the ball through the eye of a needle. And the number of times that we have a shot and it hits somebody's ankles or the backside or whatever, and it will do, you know, the chances of that ball getting through are very, very slim. Last night we saw, early on in the game, Phil Foden had some space, hit it, it's in the back of the net. Unfortunately, we don't get that space many times in a game, particularly in the Premier League, because everybody knows how to play against us now. And of course, then, you know, we have this problem that, I mean, going back a few seasons, I always knew that the system that Guardiola used would always get done by teams like Spurs, Liverpool, you know, the teams who have got really, really quick players who can do us on the break. But I always thought to myself, the difference is that the Southamptons of this world, the Bournemouths, the Brightons and whatever, they've not got those players, so they can't hit us on the break. Now they have. Now it's working for them. And of course, we are now starting to suffer from that. So yeah, number one observation, why do we not play to Haaland's strengths and put that ball over? You can see him making little runs and spinning and making runs. And then I think that it gets to a time in the game where Haaland never gives up, but you can see he's shrugging his shoulders are dropping a bit, and he's like, I've just made the 150th run there, and you've not played the ball to me. Why don't we do that? I don't know. Another big issue I think at the moment as well, and I will make a video about PSR and the Premier League and APT and all. I am going to make a video about that. The 115 charges, there's probably a few videos to be made. But the other thing I think that we're struggling with at the moment is Guardiola's contract. It's up the end of next summer, and I think that, I mean, somebody on Blue Moon, I read Blue Moon every single day of the week. In fact, more than once. Sometimes I'm on there 3 or 4 times, and you know, you get the feedback of what other fans are thinking. And I mean, I've been on this morning. There's a lot of hysteria on there about, you know, again, you know, will the Sheikh pull his money out? You know, oh, we've lost the plot. We're going to get relegated. No, again, like I say, you're not going to get any of that from me. But what I will say is that Guardiola's contract, I think, is a big problem. It's a big issue for a couple of reasons. One is that the players that he's working with now don't know whether he's going to be here in 6, 7, 8 months' time or whatever it is. They don't know whether he's going to be here. Trying to bring world-class players in, which is what we need, trying to bring world-class players in, they're not going to come in, are they, if they think Guardiola is going to leave next summer? If they're thinking, right, you know, Guardiola is manager, I want to play for him, how long's it going to be? Oh, he's not. Oh, I'm not bothered then. I mean, you could flip that and say, right, I've heard a whisper that Nagelsmann's coming in. Okay, then, right, I want to play for him, so I will come in because I know I mean, you know, you can flip these things, but I do think that Guardiola's contract is a bit of an issue. There's a lot of issues at the moment, but I'm highlighting 1 or 2 that I think are relevant. So why on earth is Guardiola stalling? I don't think it can be money. Why is he stalling? You know, everybody's saying like, oh, yeah, well, some people are saying they think he'll go. Some are saying he'll get a 1-year extension, 2 years. I think that's a little bit over the top. You would think Guardiola would want to go out on top. At the moment, that's not going to happen. But then, you know, we know City have had bad starts to a season before now and have won the Premier League. So, you know, at the moment, it's, you know, let's take it all with a little bit of it. It's not a pinch of salt, but let's not get overexcited about it. But I do think Guardiola's contract is a biggie. You know, because even in January, I mean, I, as a City fan, am thinking, right, we need to bring in a DM in January. We've got to, because Rodri's out for the rest of the season. We need to bring in a good, young, but with experience, technically good DM. Are they going to come? We've got the money. Then we get to FFP, PSR and all of that kind of stuff. But we've got the money. We could buy one. Are they going to sign one? Again, if we want to sign one of the world's best DMs to come in, are they going to come if Guardiola is... Why is he not saying, or why is there no statement to say, yes, this is definitive, Guardiola is leaving and we are bringing a manager in, or Guardiola is staying? We need some definitive answers to that, because I think that is one of the things that is affecting the team. I mean, the 115 charges, I mean, you would have to be really heartless and have no feelings. Even if you're getting paid £300,000 a week and you're a top footballer, I don't think it makes a lot of difference. The 115 charges and the outcome of that, potential outcome of that, being unknown at this moment in time, has got to play on the players' minds. And I'm not making, this is not an excuse. I'm just trying to say that I think there are a lot of reasons at the moment, or there could be a lot of reasons, and these things are possibly adding up. So, you know, you get one little thing, but then another little thing, and another, and then all of a sudden it's a medium thing, you know, or a small large thing, if you will, that's affecting the players. I think after last night's result, I, as per usual, very down in the dumps. But then football fans, I mean, I am old enough now to know, like, you know, when I was working, when we lost on a Saturday, I would go in work, all the City fans would all have their head in their hands, doom and gloom, oh my word. But come the Wednesday night game against, you know, a wet, windy Stoke away from home, and we'd all be up for it again. We always are, aren't we? Football fans are always optimistic after the fact. You always think that next game is going to be the game that starts to turn it round. Brighton on Saturday, you know, where all the City fans are complaining today, but I can guarantee come Friday night, we'll all be like, yeah, we can turn it round against Brighton. Things will, you know, we'll get some of these injured players back. I mean, injured players, it's another one of those little things. I mean, probably something we do need to talk about as well is what's going on at the moment with the injuries. I mean, if you look at the bench, we've got players on the bench who Guardiola himself said wouldn't be back till after the international break. And the likes of De Bruyne, we do need to be very, very careful with De Bruyne these days. Doku, Walker. There's quite a few players in there, isn't there? But they're actually on the bench. What do we read into that? I mean, for me last night, if De Bruyne was fit, he's on the bench. Is he fit? Is he able to play? He should have started. He's obviously not fit enough then. So, okay. But when it went 2-1, we desperately needed some experience, some quality on the pitch. Let's get De Bruyne on then. But no, he brought him on with about 5 or 6 minutes to go. So that tells me that either Guardiola doesn't know what he's doing, and we all know that he does know what he's doing very, very well, or De Bruyne is still injured and he's still feeding him back in a little bit. And that's the problem, because the game kicks off, the commentators are saying, oh, look at the bench, really strong bench, De Bruyne's on there, Doku's on there, blah, 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 blah. Probably not. Because, you know, again, you go on Blue Moon, you listen to a lot of City people talking, it's like, bring the kids in, we need the energy, we need that, you know, they're the ones who can get the tempo up. Yeah, we might have some very, very bright young kids, but they've not got the experience, have they? And as we saw last night, I mean, I'm not, like I say, I'm not criticising any players at all. I mean, Simpson Pusey, for their, was it their first goal? Simpson Pusey was, you know, if that had been Diaz chasing, or certainly Walker would have actually got to the ball first. But it probably would have been a different outcome there. And you see what I'm saying, he's a good player. We know he's going to be a good player, Simpson Pusey. There's no doubt about it. But just experience in the Champions League, you need it, don't you? So that's a roundabout way of saying, okay, Guardiola could have said, right, De Bruyne, Doku, Walker, etc., stay at home, rest up, get yourself fit, and we'll fill the bench with young kids, you know. I mean, is that a good idea? Is that a bad idea? He probably would have got slated for that. But then putting players on there who are not fully fit and making people, you know, think that, oh, we've got a strong bench when actually we have. I don't know what's going on. I'm not all of my opinions are just my opinions. I don't know what's going on. But there you go. I mean, at the end of the day, it is what it is. Okay, well, just one or two little thoughts there on the game last night. It was a bit of a shambles, 4-1 in the Champions League. Ever since we've been in the Champions League, I don't think I can remember a performance like that. Maybe first season in there, I'm not sure, I can't remember now, but it certainly wasn't great on the eye. I mean, when Foden scored that first goal, I punched the air and I thought, yeah, we're back. Because that was a typical Phil Foden strike. He looked like he was back in his stride. He had a good game, to be fair, and I thought we were back. But of course, then I think the Sporting Lisbon came out, gave us far too much respect. Their defence looked an absolute shambles, and it looked like we were going to finish up 3-0 winners. But of course, then they got in at half-time. They scored that goal. Great time to score a goal for them. They got in at half-time. The manager got them by the scruff of the neck and said, look, lads, you're giving them too much respect. Just go at them, because they're playing that high line. When you get the ball, stick it out onto the wings or flip a ball through the middle to run onto, and run in the penalty area, because, I mean, they're 2 penalties. I mean, from our point of view, and again, not criticising players, don't want to do that, but I mean, we've got experience there that just wasn't used. You cannot push somebody in the back in the penalty area. It's never going to end well, that is it. Okay, let's end on a positive note, which I'm always going to try and do. Positive note, with City fans, we've seen some brilliant. I mean, I have to say, I have to thank my dad for starting me off as a Manchester City fan. And I said to my brother, I said to him a few times now, he's also a City fan, he lives in Stockport. Well, he did, I mean, he died last year, sadly, but that's a whole other story. But, I've said to my brother quite a few times, I really wish my dad would have been here to see this now, because when he died, we were kind of coming to the end of that really barren spell, possibly going bankrupt, not playing well. Things were not looking good, were they, before the money came in. And, he kind of died around about that time. And I would have loved him, because he was, I always said, if you cut my dad in half, he would have Manchester City written right through him. He was he got in so many arguments with my mother about going to the games, because he never missed one. When my brother was born, we actually went to the game that day when my brother was born. I mean, these days that would be like, oh no, you can't do that. Fathers have to be involved. Well, which again, obviously it's quite right. But back then it was like, no, right, well, we'll nip in the hospital, see the new baby, and then we're off to Main Road. And that's what my dad was like. He was a dyed-in-the-wool City fan. And I just wish he was around to see all of the success that we've had in recent years. And that is critical. That statement is critical, because we have had brilliant success. And the one thing that I personally don't want to become is an entitled supporter. And again, not mentioning any other football clubs' names, but we all know who I mean. Their fans at times have become very, very entitled. You can't become entitled as a football fan. You just can't. City are an extremely well-run club, and you just have to trust the process, and, we will bounce back. Okay, that's a positive note. We're playing Brighton on Saturday. Can we get the 3 points? I don't know. Maybe it'll turn round. I'm going to end this episode on a smile, and just thinking about these 4 trophies and the rest that we've won. It's a great time to be a City fan. Don't get down in the dumps. I'll see you in the next episode.